Ever wondered why she keeps popping up in your mind, in your messages, in your life, like an unshakable thought? What if I told you she's already thinking about you more than you realize? Today, we're diving into 7 secret signs that reveal she can't stop thinking about you. And trust me, these are the subtle clues most people completely miss. There's something quietly powerful about the way she reaches out to you, almost as if the world feels a little emptier when your name isn't on her screen. It isn't always a long message filled with declarations or deep confessions. Sometimes it's just a simple, "Hey, how are you?" Or even a random meme that somehow perfectly captures a fleeting thought or a shared joke. What makes it so telling is the timing and the intention behind it, the little nudges she sends, the subtle ways she insists on being part of your day. These messages aren't born out of obligation or routine. They're spontaneous, often coming when you least expect them, slipping into your life like soft whispers that say, "You're on my mind again." You start to notice a pattern. It's not just the big moments she wants to share with you, it's the small ones, the coffee she sipped, a song that reminded her of you, a fleeting memory she stumbled across. And suddenly, through these tiny connections, she's building invisible threads that link her thoughts to yours. There's a kind of vulnerability in frequent messaging too, because she's opening little doors for you, one message at a time. Every notification you receive from her carries a weight that's hard to define at first, but if you pause to think about it, it's unmistakable. She doesn't have to say she's thinking about you. It's in the persistence, in the effort she puts into finding reasons to reach out. Even when her day is hectic or the world around her is chaotic, she finds moments to check in, to slip into your life in ways that are quiet but meaningful. Each message becomes a small anchor, a reassurance that even when you're not physically present, you exist in her mental space in a way that's constant, unwavering, almost addictive. And the beauty of it is that she doesn't overthink it. She doesn't calculate how often she should text or whether she's crossing some invisible line. She simply lets her thoughts guide her fingers, letting her heart reach you in the most ordinary yet extraordinary ways. And then there's the rhythm of it, the subtle cadence that forms over time. At first, it might feel coincidental, like she's just being friendly, but as days and weeks pass, the frequency becomes impossible to ignore. You start to realize that these messages aren't random at all. They're the echo of her mind looping back to you over and over. There's a comforting consistency in the way she appears on your screen, a quiet persistence that is more telling than any grand gesture. And it's not always about starting conversations. Sometimes it's about keeping a connection alive, even in silence. A message that simply acknowledges your existence, a small thought shared without expectation, speaks volumes. It's in these tiny, repeated touches that you start to sense the depth of her attention, the way her mind constantly drifts toward you, looking for reasons to linger, to stay present in your life in ways that go far beyond casual friendship or surface level interest. There's a quiet magic in the way she remembers the smallest things you say, as if your words are tucked into her mind and replayed like a cherished song. It isn't just the major events, the milestones, or the things you deliberately share. It's the fleeting, almost invisible moments that slip past most people. Maybe you mentioned a favorite childhood memory in passing, or laughed about a silly habit you have, and weeks later, she brings it up as if she's been holding on to it, savoring it quietly in her thoughts. It's not forced or rehearsed, it's natural, like your words have carved a small permanent space in her mind, and she revisits them often. There's an unspoken intimacy in this act because remembering details requires attention and care is rarely given lightly. When someone remembers you in this way, it means you occupy more than just a passing thought. You inhabit their quiet moments, their mental daydreams, and even the invisible spaces between their ordinary routines. The beauty of it is in the unexpectedness. You might be talking about something ordinary, a song, a movie, a street you walked down together, and suddenly she recalls a tiny fact you mentioned months ago. Perhaps it was a joke you made one evening that you didn't think much of, or a small preference you casually stated. And she brings it up again, weaving it seamlessly into conversation. These recollections aren't random. They're proof of her mind constantly looping back to you, analyzing, cherishing, and replaying even the tiniest fragments of your life. You begin to notice patterns, how she seems to know your favorite ways of doing things, how she remembers small gestures, words, or looks that seemed insignificant at the time, but now reveal a deeper connection. It's as if her memory is a diary, and every page carries subtle reminders that you matter, that your presence has left traces on her heart that she can't forget. It's more than just remembering, it's about context and nuance. She recalls not just the fact itself, but the emotion behind it, the little quirks, the pauses, the expressions that accompanied your words. That's how you know she's thinking about you constantly. Because remembering facts is simple, but remembering feelings, the way you said something, the tone of your laugh, the weight behind your sighs, requires an intimacy that can't be faked. And it's not about trying to impress you or manipulate the conversation. It's genuine, effortless, like her mind naturally gravitates to the spaces where you exist, replaying your moments together like a secret movie she watches when no one else is around. You notice this more and more over time, how she references details you've almost forgotten yourself, how she brings them up not as evidence of attention, but as subtle reminders that she's been holding on to you in a way that's private, quiet, and deeply personal. There's also a comfort in these details, a soft reassurance that she values not just who you are in the visible, obvious sense, but every small layer that makes you uniquely you. From your favorite coffee flavor to the way you hum when you're nervous, from a passing comment about a book to an offhand joke about a shared memory, she notices it all. It's not conscious strategy, it's instinct. And it's in these small, repeated acts of remembrance that you begin to see the invisible thread connecting her thoughts to yours, how your life quietly occupies her mental landscape in ways words cannot fully capture. In today's world, love doesn't always reveal itself through grand gestures or dramatic declarations. Sometimes it hides in the subtle, almost invisible ways she interacts with your digital life. Social media has become an extension of our thoughts, our moods, and our fleeting moments. And the way she engages with your posts, stories, or even the things she chooses to share herself can be one of the most revealing signs that she can't stop thinking about you. It's not about constant commenting or an exaggerated presence. It's the small, almost imperceptible actions that show she's paying attention. A like on a post you made weeks ago, a story viewed immediately after you upload it, a reaction that seems casual but carries a little extra warmth. These are all digital breadcrumbs that quietly map the landscape of her attention, leaving a trail that leads straight back to her thoughts of you. There's a certain intimacy in this kind of engagement because it's deliberate yet understated. She doesn't necessarily want to draw attention to it, but her actions reveal her subconscious. Maybe she comments on something that only the two of you would understand, a joke shared between conversations, or a reference to a memory that you thought was long forgotten. Perhaps she tags herself in posts that relate to your interests or posts content that subtly mirrors your own experiences, almost like a reflection of the connection she feels with you. These actions are not coincidental. They're the echoes of her mind looping back to you, replaying moments, and finding ways to insert you into her day even when you're not physically present. What's fascinating is how social media engagement can reveal her emotional rhythm without her having to say a word. She might like a post at exactly the moment she knows you're awake, view your story multiple times, or subtly hint at shared memories through her own posts. It's in these small gestures that her mind's attention to you becomes apparent. She's watching, noticing, and silently participating in your life from a distance. You start to notice patterns. Certain posts get reactions immediately, certain stories are viewed repeatedly, and certain captions seem to speak directly to you without ever being addressed aloud. It's the silent, ongoing conversation that only the heart truly understands, a language written in clicks, taps, and subtle digital interactions. Then there's the art of the indirect connection, the way she might post something ambiguous that resonates with an inside joke, a shared feeling, or an unspoken thought between the two of you. She's creating spaces where your mind can intersect with hers without needing permission or explanation, weaving a quiet, persistent thread of connection across the digital landscape. Even when she doesn't comment or reach out directly, her engagement tells a story of someone who is constantly aware of you, replaying your moments together and finding ways to insert herself into your orbit. It's a form of thinking out loud, a soft but unmistakable reminder that you are never far from her mind, even when the world makes it seem otherwise. Have you ever noticed how sometimes, without even realizing it, she starts to mirror the way you move, the way you speak, or the little gestures that define you? It's subtle, almost imperceptible at first. A tilt of the head when you tilt yours, a laugh that echoes yours, a way of gesturing that seems familiar, not by chance, but by instinct. This isn't imitation in the shallow sense. It's the subconscious language of connection, a sign that her mind is deeply attuned to yours, that your presence lingers in her thoughts long after you've left. When someone mirrors your actions, it's a quiet acknowledgement of your importance, a reflection of how closely she's observing not just what you do, but who you are in every movement and expression. Each subtle mimicry becomes a silent conversation, an unspoken way of saying, I notice you, I see you, and you matter to me, without her having to voice it aloud. The phenomenon of mirroring is fascinating because it operates on a level beneath words. She may adopt your tone in conversation, echo your phrasing in a way that feels natural, or even sit or stand in similar postures without realizing she's doing it. These small gestures are her mind's way of syncing with yours, creating a rhythm that ties her mental space to yours. It's intimate in a way that few other signs of affection can be, because it's not performative or deliberate. It's instinctive. She mirrors what she feels, what she's internalized from your presence, and in doing so, she signals that your essence has imprinted itself on her consciousness. Every repeated motion, every echoed laugh becomes a subtle proof that she's replaying your moments together, that she's mentally rehearsing and cherishing the way you move through the world. What makes this even more compelling is the timing of these mirrored actions. Often she doesn't mirror you when you're consciously aware of her attention. It happens in the quiet, unguarded moments when her mind is most present with you. She might lean in the same way, cross her legs the same way, or adopt a similar expression in response to something you've said. Sometimes it's playful, almost teasing, as if her body itself is echoing your energy back to you. Other times it's softer, more instinctual, a sign that she's unconsciously absorbing everything about you, the rhythm of your speech, the subtleties of your gestures, the unique cadence of your presence, and reflecting it as a way of maintaining closeness, even in silence. Mirroring also extends beyond physical gestures. It reaches into emotional resonance. She laughs when you laugh, pauses when you pause, and even hesitates when you hesitate. There's an invisible synchronization between you, an unspoken harmony that occurs because her attention is so focused on you that she naturally aligns with your patterns. It's as if her mind and heart are constantly running a quiet loop of your interactions, replaying and practicing them, so that every movement she mirrors becomes another proof of how often you inhabit her thoughts. And it's in these small, repeated reflections that you begin to see the depth of her attention, the quiet intensity of her feelings, and the way her mind remains entwined with yours long after the moment has passed. There's a delicate art in subtle flirting, one that doesn't scream for attention, but instead whispers softly, leaving traces of affection that are both playful and intimate. It's not about overt compliments or obvious advances. It's the small, almost imperceptible gestures that show she's thinking about you in ways you might not immediately recognize. Maybe it's the teasing remark she slips into a conversation, a playful nudge, or a witty comment that only you truly understand. It's in the way she smiles at you just a little longer than usual, the way her laughter seems to linger in your presence, or the gentle way she touches your arm in passing. These little moments are charged with intention, not in a way that pressures or overwhelms, but in a way that quietly pulls you into her orbit, letting you know, without words, that she's constantly present in your thoughts. Subtle flirting thrives on timing and nuance, on a balance of attention and restraint that keeps the connection alive without ever needing to be declared. She remembers the way you react to jokes or compliments and adapts her approach accordingly, testing boundaries in the softest of ways. A teasing text, a shared meme that perfectly captures an inside joke, or a small comment that recalls a memory only the two of you share. These are the digital versions of subtle flirtation, the way she can continue thinking about you even when you're apart. The beauty lies in the restraint, in the fact that these small interactions are never forced or exaggerated. They are natural extensions of the way her mind loops back to you, replaying moments and finding new ways to engage with your presence without needing to demand it. What makes subtle flirting so revealing is that it exposes how much she's attuned to your moods, your quirks, and your preferences. She notices the way your expression changes at a joke, the tiny shift in your tone when you're surprised, or the slight hesitation when you're unsure of something, and she weaves these observations into her playful interactions. Her teasing is never cruel or harsh. It's warm, light, and intentionally directed in a way that makes you feel seen, valued, and thought of. There's a kind of intimacy in this because it requires attention, memory, and care. She's remembering the nuances of who you are and letting them guide the way she engages with you, always keeping you present in her mind, even in the quietest of moments. Sometimes subtle flirting isn't even verbal. It's in her expressions, the way she mirrors your energy while keeping the interaction light and playful, the way her gaze lingers just a fraction longer than it should. There's a push and pull to it, an unspoken rhythm that suggests she's constantly measuring how close she can get without crossing invisible lines, how far she can reach into your world without demanding your attention outright. It's the way her presence feels magnetic yet gentle, like a quiet current beneath the surface of ordinary conversation, drawing you in through small gestures that reveal her thoughts are never far from you. There's a subtle power in the way she seems to appear where you least expect it, not by coincidence, but because her thoughts have led her there long before her feet ever did. Unexpected presence is not about grand entrances or dramatic gestures. It's about the quiet, almost invisible ways she finds to be near you, even when you haven't asked her to be. Maybe she shows up at the cafe you frequent, lingers around the bookstore you love, or suddenly appears at a mutual friends gathering, all with the casual grace of someone who just happened to be there. But you can feel it in the little details that she was aware of where you would be, drawn to the same spaces, tracing your steps without drawing attention to herself. There's something almost magnetic about it, the way her presence feels intentional, yet unforced, like her mind has been traveling to you even when she's physically elsewhere, as if she's quietly trying to share the same space, the same moment, the same life you're living. The beauty of unexpected presence lies in its intimacy. It's not the showy, obvious declarations of affection. It's the quiet ways she becomes part of your day without ever needing to be asked. She doesn't announce her arrival or demand recognition, but the moment you notice her, there's an undeniable warmth, a soft thrill in realizing that someone has been thinking of you so much that she's carved her way into your world without needing permission. She notices the rhythm of your days, the places you frequent, the times when you're most likely to be alone or in need of company, and she quietly aligns herself to that, not to intrude, but to simply exist in the same space as you. It's a gentle assertion of presence, a reflection of how often her mind drifts toward you, replaying the moments you've shared and seeking new ways to be part of your life, even in the simplest, most subtle ways. There's also a psychological rhythm to this kind of presence, an unspoken choreography that suggests she's attuned to your patterns, your routines, and even the spaces you occupy emotionally. When she arrives unexpectedly, it feels both coincidental and predestined, as if her mind has been tracing the path to you all along, seeking intersections where her life can brush against yours. It's in these moments that you start to notice patterns, the familiar smile at a familiar corner, the quiet conversation initiated without pretense, the way she seems to blend seamlessly into your surroundings as if she's always been meant to be there. Every small coincidence begins to feel intentional, every fleeting encounter layered with a meaning that you can't ignore. Unexpected presence extends beyond the physical too. Sometimes it's the way she reaches out digitally just as you need reassurance, the way she knows exactly when to send a message that feels like timing, the subtle ways she inserts herself into your life through connections, shared spaces, or mutual experiences. It's a constant, quiet reminder that even when she isn't immediately visible, her attention, her thoughts, and her intentions are intertwined with yours, moving through the same rhythm, existing in the same mental and emotional space, tracing invisible lines that keep your lives gently connected. In the end, love isn't always loud. It doesn't always demand attention or shout its presence. Sometimes it moves quietly, leaving traces in the smallest gestures, the softest glances, and the moments we almost overlook. From the way she messages you without reason to the way she remembers the tiniest details, mirrors your actions, flirts subtly, or shows up when you least expect it. Every one of these signs is a thread connecting her thoughts to yours, weaving a story that only those who pay attention can read. Even in her digital interactions or the lingering gaze she can't hide, there's a quiet intensity that speaks of a heart that revisits you over and over, cherishing every memory, every laugh, every shared moment. If you learn to notice these subtle, hidden ways she shows her attention, you start to understand not just that she's thinking of you, but how deeply she carries you in her mind and in her heart. Love like this doesn't always need to be spoken. It manifests in these small, repeated acts in ways that feel natural, effortless, and yet profoundly intimate. When someone can't stop thinking about you, it's in the way they leave fingerprints on your life long after they've gone, in the echoes of their presence, and in the invisible threads that tie their world to yours. Recognizing these signs isn't about proving anything. It's about seeing the quiet, beautiful ways love shows itself, even in places you might not expect. And when you do notice, when you truly pay attention, you realize that what seems like coincidence, timing, or casual behavior is actually a reflection of something far deeper, a heart that keeps returning to you again and again, a mind that cannot forget you, and a soul that, in its own subtle, beautiful way, has already made you a permanent part of its world.